Hi, everybody. I want to just mention two things real quick. The new series I'll be doing in January is on how to do a positive inventory of your life. It's a 4-week series. I just, in the process of putting it together, it's pretty neat. I have a lot of fun with it. I think it's a good way to kick off the new year. Tonight, what I want to do is I want to talk a lot about codependency, but connecting it to what I refer to as family traditions. And I really believe that's an important piece because I think so many times in our life, we get so much caught up in some of the craziness and the insanity. So I'm going to start off tonight with a prayer from my retreat, my little prayer book for AA retreats. And I love that little book. It's fantastic. But there's a prayer in there called A Prayer for the Hurried. And I want to share that because it kind of fits right into our topic for tonight. Prayer for the hurried. Slow me down, Lord. Ease the pounding of my heart by quieting my mind. Steady my hurried pace. Give me in the confusion of my day the calmness of the everlasting hills. Break the tension of my nerves and muscles. Help me to know the restoring power of sleep. Teach me to take minute vacations by slowing down to look at a flower, a cloud, to chat with a friend, pet a dog, read a few lines from a good book. Remind me that the race is not always to the swift, that there is more to life than increasing speed. Let me look upward into the branches of the towering oak and know that it grew great and strong because it grew slowly and well. Slow me down, Lord. Inspire me to send my roots deep into the soil of life's enduring values, that I may grow towards the stars of my great destiny. I love that prayer because it's a perfect prayer for this time of the year. As we get into the seasons and all the different celebrations of the holidays right now, we begin to realize the fact that so many of us get caught up in a lot of tension, a lot of anxiety, a lot of expectations. Also, a lot of times in our life too, we get caught up in a lot of traditions. And so I'd like to just share tonight on how important it is for us in the process of recovery to give ourselves permission to be able to develop traditions that work for us. And yet I know so many times in life, there are so many expectations. Sometimes we get caught up. I refer to it as the fantasies or the crazy ways we get around the holidays. And if you're a Hallmark junkie like me, and Hallmark movies will kind of take you into those towns. I wonder if they even exist, where everything is perfect, everything is wonderful, everything is great, and everything has a wonderful ending. In fact, I love the movies because in the first 2 minutes, you know exactly how it's going to end. It's not a problem at all. So, but the concept is that's nice and that's wonderful, but that's not really what it's all about. So many of us in reality have a lot of things that go on inside of us that even trigger us. Give an example in my own life to show you about traditions. Growing up as a child, all of our traditions around the holidays, and especially Christmas, were centralized around food. People wonder today why I'm a food addict and why I'm in my eating disorder recovery. Well, Christmas Eve, my father would get everybody together in our family. That was 35 people, by the way. And he would prepare the celebration of the 7 fishes, which meant we had 7 different kinds of fish, plus 18,000 other things to eat. And literally, people would kind of overdo it. And of course, everybody would be drinking wine. And so by midnight, everybody would go to midnight mass. I don't think they really knew what was going on at the mass because they were a little looped. What can I tell you? And so after mass, they go back to our house. My father will cook breakfast for 35 people. Then he send them all home, bring them back at 12 o'clock the next day, and start his famous 9-course meal, which went from 12 o'clock till 9 o'clock at night. Now you wonder why I'm in a food recovery program today. But the bottom line was, it was almost like everything in life was centralized around the table and around food. And there was a lot of fun involved in it too. But so many traditions I realize in my life, as I get older and as I work on myself as a person, I have to be able to change my traditions, even though there are feelings of guilt. And sometimes I have a way of missing the getting together of the family. But unfortunately, my father was a great caretaker and did everything for everybody. And so as soon as he died, the family fell totally apart. And one of the things I've learned over the years, I picked up a lot of my father's traits. And when you really get into that concept of being able to be the one that organizes everything, puts everything together, the stress, the anxiety, and the stuff to that effect, the same thing when it comes to our homes, when it comes to this time of the year, the expectations of decorations. You know, it's the other day, it was interesting. We went around, my wife and I, to look at different lights and things to that effect. Went to a place close by here. I can't remember the name of it, but it's one of those developments. But it's a very well-off development. It's right off of Hereford Cross Keys Road. And we went in there and I was shocked. Every house in the place was decorated to the tilt. They must have some kind of a contest going on. I know these people spend a ton of money putting these decorations together. And honestly, they probably were done by professionals. But every house was just unbelievable. We got to one house, you park your car, and they have what they call the dancing decorations. They tell you to put your radio on 92.1 for Christmas music. And the music, once you put it on, all the decorations actually chime to the music and decorate to the music. And they go back and forth, and the whole entire place is like, I thought I was at the light show over in Philadelphia. It was totally amazing. And I said, oh my God, how did people ever put this stuff together? And yet I realize now what happens a lot of times is we get caught up in the tensions of this time of the year and how we have to make sure things are always the way. We have to fit in with the Joneses, do stuff to that effect. And it's unfortunate how we put so much stress on ourselves. For many of us in recovery, it also triggers a lot of memories from the past. It triggers things that affect us in the course of our journey. And as a result, then many of us don't always have the greatest memories of all. And that's why it's so important as we work on our recovery and work on doing things in a positive way. We have to look for the celebrations, look for the joys, look for the things that will help us to use these holidays in a positive way. I've learned over the years, and I'm the kind of person that loves to celebrate all the different celebrations of this month. For example, I love celebrating 2 days ago, we had St. Nick's, the celebration of St. Nick's. The old tradition of putting your shoe outside the door in Holland. And in the morning, there were little things inside your shoe that apparently St. Nick brought and placed into your shoe. The celebration of St. Nicholas. And there's all these traditions and celebrations of different parts of the world that are interconnected with the holidays. We have the celebration of Hanukkah. And I love Hanukkah because it talks about the same thing we talked about last week about that mustard seed. It talks about taking a little bit of oil, and from it each day, it increased until it gave great light. That beautiful concept. I always equated that to our neighborhoods. It's almost like you begin to see trees, things lighting up, people putting things out. It's almost like things come alive all of a sudden. There's something very beautiful and powerful about that. It's the same thing when you celebrate the beautiful feast of Christmas, the birth of the Christ child, the beautiful concept of the stable. And I've always equated the stable and aspects of Christmas to our recovery program. You know, the parents of Jesus were looking for a place to stay and no one would accept them. They ended up staying in the stable. So to me, the stable represents the rooms of recovery, places we can go to where we can feel safe and feel comfortable. We can interact with other people and connect. And so I see that beautiful concept of the stable. I see the concept of the child, and that beautiful little child from its birth or that then would happen and become the beautiful messages that were carried to the world around us. And many of us still try to connect to those messages today, but it came from a little child. And we do our own inner child work, and there's a little child inside of each and every one of us to get in touch with that little child. It's all part of the process of life that we go through. I also look at the concept of Kwanzaa, something a lot of people don't spend a lot of time on. But Kwanzaa is a very powerful celebration about abundance, about gratitude, about generosity, about sharing. You know, all these wonderful symbols and concepts at this time of the year to help us to look at things in a positive way. But I know for many of us, we've also gone through a lot of trauma, a lot of anxiety, a lot of tension, a lot of expectations, a lot of things that really put us through that reason for that prayer tonight. We get all caught up, you know, and the biggest thing we get caught up in, the whole concept of giving. And many of us give too much because we think that we have to. I find it so amazing. I'll tell you a story. I find it so amazing that the beginning of January, for some reason, the treatment field, mental health and everything else, is a banner month. It's almost like everybody goes through anxiety, tension, and then, you know, the credit card bill arrives. And then all of the stuff we've done, tension, the anxiety, and then all of a sudden in January, we're trying to figure out how to get back into kilter, back into life, back into the aspect of life. And it does create a lot of anxiety, a lot of tension, and a lot of depression. Sadly, it's also a month where we experience a lot of suicides, a lot of people losing a lot of things in life. And many of us have gone through losses over this past year, and gone losses in different directions. So things are not the same as they always were. And that's why we have to work on developing new ways, new concepts, new traditions, new ways of things to do things in recovery. And that excites me because I realize today I have new traditions today. I have new ways of life today, and I can celebrate them in a much more positive way. You know, I use the example, my wife and I just did it at Thanksgiving. You know, in the morning, we went down to see her sister at the group home that she's in. Her sister's mentally challenged, and took her out to breakfast. And then we were invited to my daughter's house. But my daughter decided to invite lots and lots of people to her Thanksgiving celebration. So all of a sudden, there were people there. We didn't even know them. I talked to my wife and I said, do we really want to go? We said, no. And so we said, you know what? Let's have our own Thanksgiving. We stayed home, made a gigantic salad. We didn't have turkey. And we sat down, had a nice meal, watched a movie, enjoyed it. It was a beautiful Thanksgiving. We decided, no, we're not going to get caught up in all the craziness that's going on. Let's just build something for ourselves. It's okay to do that. And yet I know what happens when it comes to families, where there's expectations and things to that effect, and pressure that's put on us. And so we have to be able to temper it. That's why I love that prayer, because it says, take some time, you know, to pet a dog, to pet a cat. Take some time to take a walk. Take some time to appreciate your neighbors. And even when we talk about the gift of Santa Claus, you know, we have Santa Claus here with us tonight, and John, what can I tell you? But the bottom line is, we talk about Santa Claus. Santa Claus is a gift giver. But we can give gifts that are simple and plain. We don't have to give elaborate stuff. Children are great teachers. My granddaughter, they would spend all this money buying her this wonderful gift, and then she played with the box for the rest of the day. She had more fun with the box than she had with the gift. And sometimes it's simple little things that are the greatest gifts in the world. Something you create. Maybe it's a message you can write for someone and give a note to somebody, letting somebody know how much you care about them and love them. Maybe it's just something small you can give somebody else. You can share it with them. It doesn't have to be gigantic. We don't have to get into the grandiosity stuff and the big stuff and stuff to that effect. It's the little stuff that speaks so many beautiful things to one another. But the most beautiful thing is to give the energy and the power of love to one another, to care about one another, to celebrate each other, and to realize that each and every one of us are part of a new family today called the recovery family. I have so much gratitude. I just can't believe it sometimes, because my blood family, most of them are gone. You know, my wife's family, I love them. They're very special. My daughters and stuff to that effect. But what happens to families that happen to our family too. They're all over the country now. My grandson's married, he's in Montana. I have my other daughter in Montana. I have kids here, I have people in Chicago, people all over the place. And basically I'm beginning now my other grandson's getting married, and now he's going to spend Christmas in Texas. And so all of a sudden, the little cocoon that we had together has now spread out. It's going in all different directions. And now all of a sudden they're getting older. And now what do? You got to build a concept of things for where you're at on your journey now. I'm certainly not at Christmas time going to, go one afternoon to Montana, the other afternoon to Texas, the other afternoon to Chicago, and I'll have Christmas on an airplane. I don't want to do that. I want to be able just to stay home to enjoy my family. I thank God today, and maybe some good stuff came out of the virus, that we have this thing called Zoom, because I can actually visit my daughter in Montana, visit my kids in other places. I can do it on Zoom. We can talk to each other. We can share with each other. I can watch my grandkids open their gifts. I can wave to them. We go back and forth. It's great. It's opened up a whole new area, a whole new direction. I can look around and see people from different parts of the country and connect with them. It's beautiful. I can go to my meetings during the week and connect with people from all over. That's the excitement of being able to build your own recovery system, your own recovery family, and be able to realize the fact that we have to do things differently. See, be careful of what I call this time of the year, the codependent crazies. And the codependent crazies are centralized around expectation, doing too much, feeling too much obligation, feeling like you have to do all these things when you don't. So slow down, relax. Some of the dangers of our codependent crazies, sometimes you want to isolate, want to run away, don't want to be part of anything. We want to basically, avoid. But really, in reality, we have to be participants in the concept of life. There's different things we can do today, and the same thing when it comes to fantasy. Fantasy's nice, it's wonderful. But, we have our realities, and things aren't going to always go just the way we want them to go. It's not going to be the perfect holiday. I hate the word perfect. It doesn't exist. I know in Hallmark it does, in Disney it does, but that's nice. But the bottom line is it doesn't exist. There's human beings, there's people, there's the ins, the outs, there's the little resentments, the things that build up inside of us. There's family conflicts that are going on sometimes. And basically some of them were able to get resolved and some weren't able to get resolved. And that's okay too, because we have to be able to use the principles and the concepts of the holidays. And caretaking can drive us crazy and do too much of it. My father's a good example of that. And literally, I'm a good example of it too, and I gotta be careful. But you can, if you really are by yourself and don't have any place to go, you can give of yourself to other individuals and people, work at the missions, or even the AA clubhouses are great. They have parties, they have food, they have meetings, they have different programs going on. They're open all day long. You can go there and spend the day if you want to with your family in recovery. There's a lot of things going on that we can be connected to, we can learn things from. That's the secret of this process we're talking about tonight. And so it's really, to really work on, I have to ask myself some questions. Am I truly taking care of myself during this time of the year? So let's look at ourselves physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Am I taking care of my physical body, or am I overeating? Am I allowing my body to run down? Am I overstressing myself? If I'm pushing myself too hard? Am I really working on developing a healthy relationship with my body during this period of time and being able to take care of it and honor it. Because so many people put so much pressure on themselves, and literally they end up developing all kinds of anxiety, stress, and illness in their body. Emotionally, listen to your feelings, be in touch with them. But basically also don't be afraid to look at your feelings and be able to use them in a positive way, to reach out to others, to touch others, to connect with others. It's really important. But don't be afraid to share your feelings. So many of us have a tendency to stuff our feelings during the holidays. The old term of grin and bear it. Don't do that. You need to be able to get your feelings out, to express them. That's why you'll notice something. In many of our recovery programs, a lot of relapse takes place during this time because of the stress and the anxiety and the stuff we put on ourselves. So slow down, relax. First things first, to work things in a positive direction. But above all, we have to connect our spiritual program and reconnect with the God of our understanding and realize the fact we're being led. And I look at all the holiday celebrations, they all are connected to some form of our spirituality, our development. And to realize the fact that we have to reconnect with the real spirit of these holidays. You know, I think we lose it sometimes because we get so caught up in how many more shopping days till Christmas, how many more things we have to get, things we have to do, places we have to go, we have to get this done. I got to wrap everything. You get exhausted after a while. You know, the Spanish people do it nicely. I love them. You know, they celebrate Christmas on January the 6th, the Feast of the Epiphany, the Three Kings. How they don't have Santa Claus arrive. They have three men from the community dress up as the three kings and bring gifts around to everyone. The gifts we're collecting at Starting Point, we bring them all over there, plus other places bring them over. And they give these gifts out. The three wise men come and give these gifts out. They have a family celebration. And all different people celebrate differently, different denominations, different races, different backgrounds. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. And be able to look at them all and look at the spirit behind it. What is the spirit behind the process of these celebrations? Why do we celebrate the holidays? We celebrate them because deep down inside, we each have a powerful belief system. And that belief system connects us to the spirit of what this is all about. And it's not about how many gifts. Now, when I was a kid growing up, I came from a wonderful Italian family. But see, we didn't do toys in our house. We did envelopes. I always loved the envelope series. You know, for example, Aunt Millie would give me $5 in an envelope. My mother kept the book. See, we have the book. Aunt Millie it goes in the book. Aunt Millie gave $5. That means Aunt Millie's kid gets $5 back. And so all these records were kept. Even when I got ordained as a priest, my mother kept the book. We had this big book of everybody who gave me something. And she said, now you hold on to this book. And if you got to go to somebody's party, you got to give back what they gave you. Hey, I go out of my mind doing that crazy stuff. And yet I used to call it money laundering. You give me $5, I'll give you $5 back. You know, and therefore we just exchange, you know. It's crazy, it's insane. And yet, you know, I still see some of these things and things that are going on in this direction. And I've learned I don't want to do that anymore. If I give something, I give from my heart. I give from something that means something to me and I share it with somebody else. It doesn't have to be anything gigantic either. It's not about money. It's about just sharing my love, sharing my spirit, caring about somebody else. Let somebody else know I love you. I care about you. You're important on my journey. You're an important part of my life. And even a simple little thing of praying for those individuals and people you may be having a hard time with during the holidays. That's what real spirituality really is all about. Because there are situations that maybe you have to realize the fact you can't do anything about them. There are situations that occur. Sometimes kids are estranged from their parents for some one reason or another. We have to be able to pray for them. Give them to God. Have faith. Connect in a different direction. See, we try sometimes so hard to make things happen, and yet don't try that. Take your time. The prayer said it. Go slow, relax. The greatest seed I can plant to another human being is letting them know I love them. A good friend of mine alienated most of his kids when he was in his active addiction. And he tried so hard, especially around the holidays. He used to buy them all kinds of gifts, all kinds of stuff and everything else. I said, stop it. I don't understand it. I spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on gifts and send them to them, but they still won't acknowledge me. I said, stop it. Just let them know you love them, you care about them, be patient, take your time. And the amazing part about it is he had 4 sons. And over a period of 1.5 years to 2 years, his youngest son finally got back in touch with him. And then from his youngest son, the second son came along. And eventually he was able to get back with his kids. But it took time. It took patience. And it took just letting them know that he cared about them, that he loved them. Even if they wanted nothing to do with him, he still let them know that he's their dad and he loves them. And he's sorry for what happened, but he's here now to be able to do what you have to do. And it's all those little things that carry a message. It might be just sending a card and saying, I love you, I care about you, I pray for you every day. I hope you're in my prayers. I hope you're praying for me. And just to be able to put little things like that up there. They're what I call the greatest gifts of all. To be able to acknowledge another human being and just keep it that simple. And yet sometimes we build our own resentments up inside of ourselves. I want nothing to do with them. Back off. Take a break, because a resentment will drive you crazy and a resentment will destroy you. You got to work through your resentments. Prayer is a great way to work through it. Expressions of love. And even to love someone you have a hard time with. To give them a gift. You give them the gift of your love. You let them know you care about them. It's the little things that carry so much more weight than the big things. They can throw money at people. It doesn't say one word. It really says, I don't really care about you too much. I'm trying to buy you back. Don't do that. Just keep it simple and give it from your heart, from here. And over time, things will work their way out. And that's why I tell people when it comes to traditions, and different things change, life changes. Our traditions are changing. I mean, who thought 2 years ago we'd be here tonight doing this? Things change. They're not the same. I never thought in my life I'd be in everybody's house at one time. It's unbelievable. I love it. I'm across the bridge. I'm in Texas. I'm in California tonight. It's fantastic, man. I just traveled the country tonight. It's wonderful. That's the fun part about it. But it's so beautiful because it interconnects you with other people, other cultures, other ways in which they do it. I've just learned some beautiful Indian traditions from India, some beautiful traditions that are connected to the holidays from the Buddhist principles, things to that effect. I've talked to people that come from different worlds and different thoughts. I think that's exciting because I realize the fact that isn't it amazing how we celebrate all these things in such diverse, different ways, and yet they're all celebrations. They're all ways in which we connect with each other. They're all part of it. It strengthens my belief in the things I believe in, my higher power, especially my closer connection to God. And because I work on things inside of me when I can respect and honor everybody else's way, the way they look at things and believe things. That's the wonderful part about it. It's not my job to take away their beliefs, but to take my own, to share them, but also be open to learn from others, to be open to learn from growths in different directions. That is the beautiful part about tradition. I love the show Fiddler on the Roof, one of my favorite shows. Tradition. What's wrong with these young people today? Nothing's wrong with them. They just got new traditions. What can I tell you? And it's okay, you know. So I'm good Jen to teach me some of her traditions. It's wonderful, you know. It's good to be around people that have different ways, different concepts, different ideas. It's the excitement of life because it means you're not dead while you're alive. It's totally amazing. You come right down to it. You can learn from so many different ways. That's one of the reasons why I love parts of social media, not all of it. But I do love being around people that put positive stuff. You know, I noticed on Facebook recently, we have a lot of Snoopy quotes now. Snoopy's really active on Facebook. It's amazing. He's my buddy, you know that. But the bottom line is, I'm beginning to realize that's all positive, beautiful things. Things about belief, things about faith, things that are connected. Always go towards the positive, not the negative. We live in an insane world. It'll be that way to the day after you're dead. Don't worry about it. You know, it's been that way from the beginning of time. Isn't it wonderful? But we have to be able to live in the world, but not be part of the world. We have to be able to learn from the things around us. But it means being open to new things and new directions. So during this season, you know, just take the time to celebrate. Celebrate the people that are around you. Celebrate one another. Celebrate the gift of life. By the way, we're even in Cape May tonight too. It's wonderful. But the bottom line is we're always learning things and doing things in new directions. That's the fun part about it. You know, and I'm learning more and more from all the people I meet in the course of my journey. I get really excited, so put up with me, okay? I love this time of the year. I even love January because what I do outside is we take the Christmas decorations down and put the snowman decorations up for January, you know. So I take all the color lights down and put all the white lights up for snow. Then I pray for snow. I like snow, what can I tell you? I got my shovel, I got my salt ready, I'm ready to go here, okay, no problem at all. But the fun part about it is we have to be able to try to look at life with a positive attitude. Develop traditions that work for you. Don't get into the codependent crazies. You think you've got to do all this stuff. You don't have to do it. Believe me, you don't. Just do the bare necessities, do what you have to do, but celebrate these beautiful holidays in the traditions that work for you, but be open to other traditions and realize the gift that they give us also. And that's why we can celebrate these things, not just during December, but celebrate them all year round. Because my traditions today are so important to me. My recovery traditions are so important. I have so much gratitude for all the gifts I've experienced with people in the rooms of recovery, in different rooms of recovery. It's fantastic. That's why I love our 12-step program. We have 21 different 12-step programs now. Do you know that? Isn't that amazing? It's amazing. They're all based from the foundation of the beautiful 12 steps that were put together back in 1935 and 39. And from it, there's that mustard seed again, everything blossomed and grew. Now we got a little bit of everything. What can I tell you? We even have Debtors Anonymous now. This is totally amazing. I love it. You know, we have Workaholics Anonymous. You know, and out in the Midwest in California, it's very popular. On the East Coast, we haven't got there yet. What can I tell you? We actually had a gentleman who tried to start a Workaholics Anonymous program at Starting Point. He showed up every week, but nobody else ever showed up. So he had, you know, it didn't work out. But, you know, it wouldn't hurt. But I had to tell you the truth, we probably could all use it. It's called this, we should call it Slow Down Anonymous. It's coming next. But we know it's coming next. Technology Anonymous is coming next. It's totally amazing. But see, I don't care. If it gives us the principles of life and the principles to live by, then we can learn from it. We can grow from it. That's what's important. So I want to do next week in the last part of this holiday series, I want to go through each and every one of the holidays and connect them to our recovery programs from Thanksgiving all the way up to New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Because I have a powerful tradition I want to share with you about New Year's Eve and New Year's Day that was taught to me by members of Narcotics Anonymous, believe me or not. It's amazing where it came from. It's a beautiful tradition. And there's so many good traditions out there that we can connect with. But it means to be able to do our work and celebrate our recovery and celebrate life. And that's what it's really all about. So tonight, when I pray, I'm praying that God will help us and walk with us and guide us as we go through the journey of this month, to be able to look at our traditions and things in life with a positive attitude, and just to be able to keep it simple, take it slow, don't overdo, and just kind of enjoy one another and enjoy the people around you and enjoy the little things of life. That is the key to everything we do in the course of our journey. So let us pray. God, please, we come before you tonight as a family. We come before you in prayer. We ask that you walk with us, you guide us, and you strengthen us to look at all of the traditions of the world around us, to be open to learn and grow from them. Because we know you are the architect, you are the guide, you are the strength. And all of us in one way or another reconnect back to the spirit, to the energy of love you've given to each and every one of us. Help us to respect each other, be open to each other, learn from each other, but to look at all the different ways of celebrating things in life and to realize how special and beautiful the gifts you have given us. Teach us to look at them with a positive attitude, to learn from them, but help us above all to release and let go of all the hurts, the pains, the losses, the things that happen in life, to being able to say goodbye so we can say hello. Help us to realize that sometimes we have to go through struggle and loss to come to growth. We also pray for all those who have gone before us, for those who are on our wall over at starting point, and for all those that we've lost over the course of the years. We thank them for being part of our journey. Help us to move forward, to continue to grow a little bit at a time, and to learn through the experiences of this time of the year. Help us to be able to carry it in gratitude throughout the whole entire year as we get ready for the beginning of another year of the journey of our life. We pray in a strong way tonight. We ask for your guidance and your strength. Just be with us. And we ask this and we pray this in your name. Amen. And now I'm going to ask all of you wonderful people to unmute. You too, Lana, don't forget, unmute. And then I'm going to ask Pat, who's our director, to guide us in the serenity prayer.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. God's will, not mine, be done.